Somewhere around age 62 or 63, something starts to change. Getting up from the couch takes a little more effort. Walking to the mailbox feels different than it did a few years ago. The stairs seem steeper, your legs feel heavier, and most people assume the same thing. I'm just getting older. They don't question it, they adjust. They slow down a little, then a little more. But what if that weakness isn't coming from age at all? What if it's coming from a medication you've been taking every single day? A medication prescribed to protect your health. A medication you trust completely. Today we're talking about 3 common types of medications that may contribute to weakness, fatigue, dizziness, and reduced physical performance in some older adults. The first 2 are among the most commonly prescribed heart and blood pressure medications in America. But the third one surprises almost everyone. Millions of seniors take it every day and never suspect it could be affecting their energy levels. By the end of this video, you'll know what these medications are, what warning signs to watch for, and the exact questions to ask your doctor if something doesn't feel right. Let's start with the first medication type, statins. If you're over 60, there's a good chance you've heard one of these names: atorvastatin, rosuvastatin, simvastatin. They're prescribed to lower LDL cholesterol and reduce the risk of heart attacks and strokes. And for many people, those benefits are very real. Statins have helped countless patients reduce cardiovascular risk. But there's something many people never learn when they start taking them. Inside your body, statins affect a pathway involved in producing a compound called CoQ10. You may have heard of it as a supplement, but what it really does is help your cells produce energy, especially your muscle cells, including your heart muscle. When those energy systems aren't functioning optimally, some people begin experiencing symptoms that are easy to miss. Not dramatic symptoms, subtle ones. Leg heaviness, muscle soreness, fatigue that seems to appear out of nowhere. And that's where the misunderstanding begins. Because gradual weakness doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with a warning label. Instead, it quietly changes the way you move through your day. And most people never suspect their medication could be involved. One of the reasons medication-related weakness is so difficult to recognize is because it develops slowly. Week by week, month by month, year by year. You don't wake up one morning unable to climb the stairs. You simply notice you're avoiding them more often. You don't suddenly lose your energy. You just start sitting down more frequently than you used to. And eventually, those changes begin to feel normal. One older adult experienced exactly that. For years, he had been active. Weekend yard work, home projects, long walks. The kind of person who was always moving. But after several years on a statin medication, something changed. His legs felt weaker. His endurance dropped. Simple activities became more difficult. At first, he assumed it was age. His family assumed it was age. Even his previous appointments never connected the symptoms to his medication. But when further evaluation was performed, signs of muscle stress were discovered. After discussing options with his physician, adjustments were made to his treatment plan. Several weeks later, he reported something surprising. The weakness that he thought was simply aging had improved. And that's an important lesson. Statins are not the enemy. For the right patient, they provide important protection against heart attack and stroke. But if you've noticed, muscle weakness, heavy legs, unexplained fatigue, reduced physical endurance, those symptoms deserve a conversation. One of the most useful things you can say at your next appointment is, "I've noticed increasing muscle weakness and fatigue. Could my medication be contributing, and are there any tests or adjustments we should discuss?" Simple, respectful, and productive, because good healthcare conversations start with good questions. But statins aren't the medication type responsible for the most sudden episodes of weakness in older adults. That distinction often belongs to another group of medications taken by millions of Americans every day: blood pressure medications. And the side effect we're about to discuss is one that many seniors experience without ever realizing it has a name. The second medication category is one that millions of older adults take every single morning: blood pressure medications. And before we go any further, let's be clear about something. These medications save lives. High blood pressure is one of the biggest risk factors for heart attacks, strokes, kidney disease, and heart failure. Treating it matters, a lot. But sometimes the goal of lowering blood pressure becomes so successful that the body struggles to keep up, especially after age 60. As we get older, the cardiovascular system doesn't adjust as quickly as it once did. When you're 30, standing up from a chair is effortless. Your blood vessels react instantly. Blood pressure stabilizes, everything works automatically. But after 60, those adjustments can take longer. And when blood pressure medication is added to the equation, some people begin experiencing a problem called orthostatic hypotension. Most people have never heard the term, but many have felt it. You stand up from a chair or get out of bed, and suddenly, you feel lightheaded. Your vision briefly darkens. Your legs feel weak. You feel unsteady. Then, after a few seconds, it passes. Because it only lasts a short time, most people dismiss it. I stood up too fast. I'm tired today. That's normal. But when it happens repeatedly, it deserves attention. Orthostatic hypotension occurs when blood pressure drops suddenly after standing. Instead of smoothly adjusting, the cardiovascular system briefly falls behind. And during those few seconds, the risk of losing balance increases significantly. That's why this isn't just about dizziness, it's about safety. Falls remain one of the leading causes of serious injury in adults over 65. And many of those falls begin with a moment that lasts less than a minute. A moment that most people never mention to their doctor. One older adult learned that lesson firsthand. She thought she was becoming clumsy. She thought she was simply getting older. What she didn't realize was that her body was giving her the same warning over and over again, and nobody had connected it to her medication. The woman I mentioned was a retired school teacher. For more than a year, she had been experiencing brief episodes of dizziness every time she stood up. Not all the time, not severe enough to send her to the emergency room, but frequent enough that she started changing her behavior. Without realizing it, she began holding onto furniture when she walked through her house. She positioned chairs closer together. She made sure there was always something nearby to grab. To her, it felt like common sense. To her family, it looked like aging. But when her blood pressure was checked while sitting, and then again after standing, the answer became clear. Her blood pressure dropped dramatically within seconds. For the first time, she understood why she felt unsteady. It wasn't weakness. It wasn't clumsiness. It wasn't simply age. It was a medication effect that had never been recognized. After discussing the issue with her physician, adjustments were made to her treatment plan. A few weeks later, she reported something remarkable. She was walking through her home without reaching for walls. She felt more confident, more stable, more like herself again. And that's why these symptoms matter, because people often adapt to them instead of investigating them. If you've noticed, dizziness when standing, brief weakness after getting up, vision dimming for a few seconds, feeling unsteady when walking, bring it up. One simple question can start the conversation. I've noticed dizziness or weakness when I stand up. Could my blood pressure be dropping too much, and should we check it sitting and standing? That question takes less than 10 seconds to ask, but it can completely change the direction of an appointment. Now we come to the third medication on this list, and this one surprises almost everyone, because it has nothing to do with your heart, nothing to do with your blood pressure, and nothing to do with circulation. In fact, most people take it for something they consider a minor annoyance. Heartburn, acid reflux, indigestion. Yet for some older adults, this common medication may quietly affect the nutrients the body relies on for energy, muscle function, and mental clarity. And that's why the third medication is often the one nobody sees coming. The third medication on our list is one that millions of Americans take every single day. Not for heart disease, not for blood pressure, not for cholesterol, for heartburn, acid reflux, GERD. The medications are called proton pump inhibitors, or PPIs. You probably know them by names like omeprazole, pantoprazole, esomeprazole, Prilosec, Nexium. For many people, these medications provide real relief. They reduce stomach acid, they help control chronic reflux, and for the right patient, they can be extremely beneficial. But here's what many people don't realize. Stomach acid doesn't exist only to cause heartburn. It also plays an important role in helping the body absorb certain nutrients, especially vitamin B12, magnesium, calcium. When stomach acid remains suppressed for long periods of time, some people may gradually develop deficiencies in these nutrients. Not overnight, not in a few weeks, but slowly, over months, sometimes over years. And that's what makes the problem so difficult to recognize, because the symptoms don't point back to the medication. Instead, they look like something else entirely. You may notice constant fatigue, muscle cramps at night, reduced energy, brain fog, difficulty concentrating, a general feeling that your body isn't functioning the way it used to. Most people blame aging. Few people think about their reflux medication, and that's exactly why these symptoms often go unrecognized. One older adult experienced this firsthand. She had been taking a proton pump inhibitor for nearly 7 years. At first, everything seemed fine. Then little changes started appearing. She felt tired all the time. She slept through the night but still woke up exhausted. She developed leg cramps. Her family noticed she seemed slower during conversations. She assumed she was simply getting older. But what happened next completely changed her understanding of what was really causing those symptoms. The woman had spent years believing her exhaustion was simply part of getting older. She slept longer, rested more, cut back on activities, but nothing seemed to help. 3 different medical visits had included routine blood work. Everything appeared normal, yet no one had checked 2 of the nutrients most commonly affected by long-term acid suppression: vitamin B12 and magnesium. When those levels were finally tested, the answer became clear. Both were significantly lower than they should have been. After reviewing her medications, her healthcare team developed a supervised plan to address the deficiencies and reevaluate her long-term treatment strategy. Several months later, she described the change in a way I'll never forget. "I forgot what it felt like to wake up and feel like myself." That's the danger of gradual decline. When it happens slowly enough, people stop noticing it. They stop questioning it, and eventually they accept it. Not because it's normal, but because it's familiar. And that's the real lesson from everything we've discussed today. Sometimes weakness is aging. Sometimes fatigue is lifestyle. Sometimes dizziness has nothing to do with medication. But sometimes the answer is sitting right there in the pill organizer on your kitchen counter. Which is why the goal isn't to stop medications. The goal is to ask better questions. Let's quickly review the 3 medication categories we covered. Statins may contribute to muscle-related symptoms in some people. Worth discussing if you've noticed increasing weakness or leg heaviness. Blood pressure medications can sometimes contribute to dizziness or instability when standing, especially important if you've experienced falls or near falls. Proton pump inhibitors, PPIs, long-term use may affect nutrient levels in some individuals. Important to periodically review with your healthcare provider. Now here's your challenge. Starting tomorrow morning, begin a simple medication and symptom journal. Nothing complicated. Write down every medication you take, your energy level, any dizziness, any leg weakness, any unusual fatigue. Just 2 or 3 sentences each day. After 1 week, you'll start seeing patterns. After 2 weeks, you'll notice trends. And after 30 days, you'll have something far more valuable than a vague memory. You'll have evidence. Evidence helps doctors. Evidence improves conversations. Evidence gets results. And when you walk into your next appointment, don't say, "I think something feels off." Instead, hand over your notes and say, "I've been tracking this for 30 days." Those 6 words can completely change the quality of a medical discussion. If you found this helpful, let me know in the comments. Which of the 3 medications surprised you the most? And if someone you care about is constantly saying they're tired, weak, or dizzy, share this video with them. The answer may not be age. It may simply be a conversation that hasn't happened yet. Subscribe for more practical health information designed specifically for adults over 60. Take care of yourself, stay curious, keep asking questions, and I'll see you in the next video.